Turn right. Watch out. He's coming behind you. Done. Yes, 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 yes! Woo! Woohoo!
You're the best pit crew ever, Jacob.
You're the best driver ever. You see that turn? That was amazing.
Oh, I learned from you, man. All that coaching out there. I knew I couldn't take a right on that left turn, but I was gonna try to anyways. But then you told me otherwise.
Hey, that's okay. We got it. We work a good team. That's all I gotta say.
That's right. How you been, Jacob?
Oh, after that race, I'm doing great. What about you?
Been doing pretty good. You know, life's just plugging along. Things are starting to return back to normal here in Utah, so that's nice.
Yeah, no, same here. I was starting to like reopen certain things. Not everything, but a lot of things. So
I misheard you there for a second. I thought you said I was starting to open, not Iowa.
yeah, I'm just that good at what I do that I just
I was
kind of
like,
need to open.
wow, Jacob, you the new governor? You're just like, I'm gonna open everything.
Oh, you know.
Yeah, no, it's nice. It's really nice that things are returning back to normal for the most part. So, I mean,
Yeah,
it's still slow, one step at a time, but it's a lot better than we were where we were. So,
I'll get there. I'll get there. Don't
yeah,
worry.
definitely. I feel like we have a pretty good article to talk about today as well.
Yeah, I think this is a great summation of the past two videos that we've done. Um, and it's this article actually was so good. I want to read it again after we're doing this video. Probably should have done it before, but didn't have time. So
Yeah, no, it's a good one.
yeah.
Uh,
So
for those of you at home that might be wondering what we're talking about an article or a study that was done at the University of Illinois titled Age and Depression. And it does sum up really good our last two videos where we talked about depression in adolescence and then the second one of depression in the elderly. And it is a little bit longer of an article, but I think it helps you see um, just kind of how depression manifests itself through the years, and when it's going to be a little more likely to be prominent in people's lives, and it's part of the reasons why.
yeah, and I think this article kind of opened up a lot of different questions that I have that I kind of want to look into maybe later on. Like the first thing is, there's not a lot of studies on the middle age, right?
Uh huh.
You have a lot of studies for the young age, 18 to something, or even 0 to 18. Then you have a lot of studies on the elderly, but you don't have a lot of study on the middle age, which this this study here did a little bit about it, and I think because of their understanding, because of their results, which is this is why we don't see a lot of studies on the middle age, just because based upon this study here, the prime point of someone's life is 45 years old, right? So why are we going to focus on those? I mean, sounds kind of bad, but why
Yeah.
are we
No.
going to focus on somebody who's way up here, which is good, that we're focusing on the other ages. But it's always made me wonder why we don't see a lot of studies about that age. So that's my hypothesis, and why we don't.
Yeah, no, it does. It does make more sense that we wouldn't have as many studies on depression on an age group that doesn't seem to be showing as much depression. Not that there aren't still people in that age group that struggle. Don't. There are still obviously some people that struggle with depression in that age group, but it's definitely a lot less. And for those of you who don't have the article in front of us, there's something kind of cool, I guess. I don't know if you call it cool. They have a graph and they go through the years starting at about age 18 till I can't remember. They've got a couple of them on here, but I think it's till about age 85 or 90, somewhere in there, about the time when people die. And the graph is just a Nike sign. I just call it the Nike graph, where it shows that at age 18 and 20, there's more, or depression is more prevalent than when you reach age 45. 45 is the low point on the graph, and then it starts to climb up again. And one of the the biggest reasons it seems to be is that just life is a lot more stable at age 45. There's a lot fewer things changing, a lot fewer things that cause people to feel bad about themselves. Most people at age 45 aren't really experiencing those, whether it's with a job or in a relationship with people or whatever it is.
Right. And for me, that has great hope for me because that means, I'm only 22, so that means I'm still at the bottom point. And if I'm pretty happy now, I mean, imagine what I'm going to be like at 45.
Yeah.
But it also brings fear to me because, like, okay, that means I'm going to hit a high point at 45, and then everything's going to go downhill. And that's what scares me, because
Uh-huh.
in my point of view, I want to be going up, 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 exponentially. But no, we've got kind of this, this curve.
Yeah. I think I think I'm with you. I definitely at first when I was thinking about it was kind of scary to think about. I was like, oh dang it, you're telling me that some of my low points now aren't even going to compare to how I feel later when I'm like 85 years old, assuming I make it to live that long. But at the same time, though, then I remembered one of the best things, though, to combat depression is to be able to understand depression and to prepare for it. And I think if we can set in our expectations now that, hey, life's not going to be perfect when we're really old. And yeah, I am going to have some heartbreak when I lose my spouse or when I don't get to see my children as much or when I'm not able to go to the job that I really like to or enjoy doing so much. You know, if we can kind of set that expectation, okay, that's going to happen, then we can find ways to prepare and adjust for it so that ultimately it's not quite as bad. And, life's never going to be perfect, but we can make it better, which is definitely gives me hope and is a lot of good news.
Right. And I like how you say educate. This article talked a little bit about education as well and how education will affect your depression chances, right? Your risk of depression. Those who have an education have a less of a chance of being depressed than those without. And so I feel like maybe that's one of the ways that we can combat that as we get older, right? Because we get older, we're all going to retire. But then what are we going to do after we retire? Well, there's a ton of things that we could do. We could go back to school. We could, you know, travel the world, different things like that. But I feel like as long as we continue our education, even at an old age, I think that might be one of the best ways, not just at an old age, but even now, you know, we should continually educate ourselves. But I
Yeah.
feel like that's a great way to do that.
Yeah, I definitely think education is a huge part in being able to combat that because when the more education you have, the more stable life you can build. And those were the key factors that they said at the very end of the study seemed to cause people to experience more depression was things like um, being unmarried or widowed or not having a stable job or um, I'm spacing it right now. Um, just things like general things like that. But that if we can find an education to find a more stable job, and if we're educated on how to keep better relationships with people, and things like that, then our life will be more stable. And so education is definitely a huge key in creating that stability that keeps us out of depression. Um, and as always mentioned before, yeah, life's not going to be perfect, but when you can have that stable ground to stand on, it's going to allow you to think clearly on those times when, things do get a little bit upsetting. Because eventually we're all going to lose somebody that we love. But if we're on some stable ground there, we can think clearly through it and be like, it's unfortunate. It's not something I want to go through, but I can find a way to get through it and have a mentality somewhat like that.
Right. And I think going along with that, it's not on the same topic, but the article talked about it as well. They talked about a little bit about bad habits. So they gave the example of gaining weight, right? A
Uh-huh.
lot of people, when they gain a little bit of weight, they quit exercising. But then when they quit exercising, that is a direct result of gaining more weight, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of this cycle that we go through. And I feel like we can connect that to anything that we do in life. If something bad happens, like let's say a death or something, I don't know, we start on these bad habits, which then result in other bad experiences that we're going to have. And so I feel like education is a great way to combat that because you can do what you just said. You can kind of take a step back, look at the broader picture, understand, hey, this is a sad thing, but I can continue on forward and keep those good habits, get rid of those bad ones, and have that joy that I need throughout my life.
Yeah. Gives you a lot of needed emotional maturity, which is very important when you're facing stuff like depression. I know even in my own life, there are times I look at different, I'm trying to think of very specific, well, I am thinking of very specific scenarios. They're a little bit personal, so I won't go into a lot of detail, but I know stuff that I experienced when I was in high school. Emotionally, I was not mature enough or near mature enough to handle it. And I did my best with what information I had. But now, 10 years down the road, I'm at a point where I'm still not perfect. I definitely still have a ton of things to learn, but I have learned more than I knew then. And I face similar situations. And when I face those, though, I am definitely able to push through them better because that emotional maturity is there. And so it's all thanks to experience and some education and some time. Just put those together and you can get through it. That's for sure.
Right. And I feel like even in my life today, it's like a weekly thing that I go through. I have to like weekly, almost daily, to tell you the truth, evaluate my life and the things that I'm doing, and then evaluate the happiness that I'm having. Right. If
Yeah.
like this past week, I've realized that I haven't been doing a lot of different things. I've kind of been slacking. I've watched more YouTube videos. I've watched more TV, which
Uh huh.
is not a bad thing, but the over excessive amount of it is what's bad about it. And so, yesterday I was like, okay, I gotta fix this. I'm going to fix this tomorrow. I'm going to get up early, like I like to do, go exercise, start my day off right. And today I feel quite a bit better, than yesterday, where it was kind of like, day, what did I do this week? I have nothing to show for it. And today,
Yeah.
I got up early, I exercised, I read a little book. I want to continue after this video, read these articles, and I feel good about myself because, like, I accomplished all this. And so
Definitely.
just having that continual education to also do better.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, with that, I don't know that I have a whole lot more to talk about the article personally. I mean, it's a very good one. Did you have anything else that you wanted to discuss in the article, Jacob?
No, I think that's about all. I would highly encourage those who have the time to read it, though, to read it because it is really good. And like I said, I really want to read it again just to more fully understand and get more out of it because it was really cool. So
Yeah, definitely a good one. Definitely one of the better ones that we've ended up reading.
yeah.
With that, though, we also got some good news to share today. Some pretty cool stuff. I don't actually have a date on this, unfortunately, but I found an article about it's titled "Football Club Uses Social Media to Find Missing Children," and this isn't talking about American football. It's talking about soccer. But for those of you who don't know, there's a lot of different soccer clubs around the world in each country, and it's a very big deal. They've got a lot of different leagues, and it's very complex. I had a friend explain it to me once, and I was just like, "Wow, that is way, way, way more complex than I thought it would." It's not like basketball or American football or many of the other sports we have over here that only have a couple leagues. There's quite a few leagues for soccer. It's cool. But because there's so many leagues, social media is a huge deal for them when they're announcing new signings and just different things that are happening with their teams, especially the big ones. And one of the top Italian soccer clubs, they decided that with their social media, that they were going to put out the announcement of recent children that had gone missing and use it as an opportunity to broadcast to more people about these children, so that hopefully if anybody that followed them had seen anything, they could report things to police, or to other individuals, so that these children could be returned back to where they needed to go. And they even said, though, when they did it, they hoped and prayed that it would make a difference in people's lives, but they really never knew if it actually would. It was just kind of that hopeful thing. And at the time of this writing, I think this is a little bit older, but I'm not 100% sure. They said at the time of this writing, they had successfully helped 6 children return back home, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. Something like so small, but has, I bet, have a great impact. 6 children, it's not
Yeah.
a lot, but that's still a lot.
No, I mean, compared to, of course, all of them that are out there that are missing, which is just a horrifying and sad thing to think about. Yeah, it is really small, but at the same time, 6 children makes a huge difference on the world. I mean, it's only, if you think about some of the great people in history, there's only a handful of them, but only a handful of people is what it takes to really make a difference and lead out to change the world. So that's pretty cool.
Right. And I feel I don't know, that's really cool actually. I have no words to say, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, no, it does kind of leave you speechless. There's not a whole lot you can add to it. It's just so cool. It's like I don't I don't know that I can add anything that would really top it and make it better.
Right. Wow,
But
that's really cool.
I do hope, though, that, I mean, I know we try to do our best to make a difference in people's lives, but I hope anybody that ever listens to us will take an opportunity in your life to find ways, whatever it is, to somehow make a difference in the world around you. Maybe you have a cool and unique opportunity like this soccer club to be able to announce to millions of people about missing children. Um, but maybe you don't. Maybe you can only just make a difference in the lives of somebody you live with, and that itself is a huge thing.
Yeah. No, I second that. Try to find someone that's in your circle and help them out.
Because it takes all of us, that's for sure.
Yep.
Well, it's been good talking with you, Jacob, and
Yeah.
I definitely look forward to talking more with you next week.
Oh yes. Just prepare. We're gonna win that race, baby.
That's right. Well, until next time,
Have a great week.
bye.
Bye.